It's time for Straight on the Point with Jesse T from some undisclosed location somewhere in the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Jesse T.
Yay! It's the Jesse T Show, and I'm back on the radio with you. Also live on AVTV Live and the Digital Broadcasting TV Network. Yes, I am in an undisclosed location today. It's very secret, but I will share it with you, my loyal viewers and my loyal listeners, all five of you. That's right. Thank you. I appreciate all five of you. And I think that at the end of the year, I'm going to throw a .com. And on the social network side, social media side, hooking up to about 21 different social media networks. We are at AVTV Live and the Digital Broadcasting TV Network. Wow. We're on the air and everywhere, and from the community to the world. We are here in the beautiful paradise we know as Los Angeles, California. We're everywhere and everywhere and everywhere and everywhere. It is now triple digits. Today, I was in places where the temperature was 111 degrees, and I have never, in my 55 years of my 57 years of life living here in Southern California, experienced 111 degrees except in Palm Springs. But nevertheless, there was a lightning storm, thunder showers, lightning like I've never seen it in the middle of summer over the San Gabriel Mountains. Pretty intensive. So today is another hot day in paradise. For those of you who got a chance to hang out at the beach today, or the few lakes we do have around Los Angeles, or the pools.
Yeah.
I tried.
Yeah,
I mean, was the audio even crackling?
Yeah, it was bad.
Nothing came out of it?
Well, yeah, we could hear you, but it was bad.
Yeah, well,
muddy.
You know, Skype doesn't work too good when you're rolling down the road.
Well, it's your internet connection.
Yeah.
Plus the lack of bandwidth.
Yeah. Is there? It would be great if we could find a system that we could kind of do like Channel 4, the news does when they're rolling the helicopters and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, how do they do that?
Satellite.
They bounce it off the satellite.
Yeah.
And then the trucks just pick it up and they exchange it that way. Man, it would be great if we could substitute something in for that, you know? We could do a lot of cool
We'll go out and sell
stuff.
about 100 houses this month, and then we'll have enough money to
That's one of the
$10,000 a month satellite dish.
Is that how much they run?
Oh, probably, yeah.
To
Especially for video.
To rent the space on it?
Yeah.
10,000.
Maybe more.
Probably more.
Because we're paying $10,000, $11,000 a month just for audio.
Really?
For at Radio 1, Syndication 1, yeah.
Wow, just for audio.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that expensive.
Oh, yeah, it's still crazy.
God. Yeah, that would be great if we could do that, though. That would be great. We could roll anywhere and have a clear picture, just like the news channels do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they even have trouble at times, especially during weather. When you got a lot of cloud cover.
Yeah, it does that.
Hurricanes and stuff like that. Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of those news guys and a lot of those on-the-spot reporters like that, a lot of them are using the technology off their smartphones now.
Cell phone is like a backup.
Yeah. Or if they want to get into someplace kind of small
quick,
and stuff, they're starting to use that more and more and more as the technology is getting better and better.
Yeah.
I mean, the camera, like in this is a Note 5. And from the Note 4, which is my everyday phone, to the Note 5, the camera is so much better.
Phenomenal.
And I can't even imagine what the Note 8 is going to be like.
I think the 5, it's the same one that I have as well. I think that's at least 12 megapixels.
I don't even know what the Note 8 is going to be like.
It's not anymore. I was looking at it the other day over at the Verizon store. And I was about to pre-order one.
The Note 8 is out.
No, it's not. You can pre-order it. It won't be out until the 15th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is
if you
the camera
pre-order
better?
it, you can get it a day sooner.
Is the camera better or is it the same?
It's about the same.
Really?
Yeah. That's a major breakthrough to go beyond real 12 megapixels.
Right.
You know.
Well, the Apple 8, they have supposedly increased their camera ability too.
Yeah, it's not more than 12 megapixels, but they're using some kind of software method to allegedly enhance the quality.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about Apples versus the Android is the Apples are really simple to use, much simpler than the Androids. They just have the steps seem to be a little more direct, you know?
There's some things, yeah.
Yeah, and well, the things I'm concerned with is like the audio and the video and the audio, and the ability to edit your video and to add little things that all of these sites are adding, you know, pictures over your face or little words or some canned music that's you don't have to worry about copyrights with.
Don't tell him, but Android has those apps also. Don't tell Jesse. Don't tell him because he'll be crushed.
Android has those apps?
Yeah.
Well, how come I didn't know about them?
Because you don't go looking. When was the last time you went to your Android store? Time up. Beep. You lose. Did you see the look on his face like, oh, shit, where's the the Android store? Is that the corner of Wilshire and Crenshaw? No, it's on your phone.
I was actually really thinking of a store, you know that. Yeah, I was. I was thinking, do I got to go back to T-Mobile? Honest to God, I was thinking that's right, it has a store.
I would love to see you go into the T-Mobile store and ask, where's the location for the Android store? And the guy would look at you and like go, oh, yeah. Hang on a second. Hey, Sam, I got a good one for you. You call Sam from the back on you.
I'll tell you, man. I've met a lot of Sams. But I sure get the love in those stores. They all want to help me.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they do. They charge you for it, too.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I was at the Verizon store the other day, and my contract is up in December on my phone.
I don't like Verizon.
No.
No.
I don't either. I mean, I'm really thinking about dropping them and going to maybe T-Mobile because
Verizon supposedly has the best because they're all satellite.
Yeah, but you know what? That's poppycock because in this building and where I live, I have horrible reception.
Well, Verizon supposedly sold most of their tower sites to T-Mobile, and that's why when T-Mobile came on the scene a couple of years ago, all of a sudden out of nowhere, remember that girl who was always in pink? She was in the commercials. She was on a motorcycle, and then all of a sudden, T-Mobile jumped on the scene. That's when Verizon turned on their satellites. So they had sold a lot of their towers to T-Mobile, and T-Mobile basically got all of them, the largest group, and so that T-Mobile was able then to cover in areas that they could not cover before. And AT&T, my goodness, I don't know what they're doing.
Well, in this building and where I live, AT&T is better.
Yeah.
And if it was not for Wi-Fi, I wouldn't be able to get calls with any kind of consistency here in the studio.
Yeah.
Verizon has a hole. It's a null right here. Go 2 blocks either way, it opens up again. So
it's weird how that is.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool if they had some sort of app that could be designed that would tell you where the strong points of the signal are at.
They have that.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. That would be really cool.
Yeah, they have that.
They do?
Yeah. You know, another app that would probably be good for you from a real estate standpoint is to tell you what your altitude is. So if a person says, is this a flood zone?
No, it wouldn't be good because the flood zones come from the United States Geological Department.
Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah, and they would have to upload that. So you'd have to.
Well, you could at least tell them.
I'd have to know.
It's above sea level.
Well, I know everything that's above sea level, but if I didn't know.
Yeah.
A lot where we're sitting right now, down where we're sitting right now, we're sitting on top of sort of the beginning of a plateau. And it goes out to the edge of the
I have to check that, Jesse, because, you know, just like, where were you a few minutes ago? Were you at Venice and...
I was at Venice, and I popped out when I got lost out of the neighborhood. I was at Venice and, eventually Venice and Sepulveda. That's where I ended up.
Venice and Sepulveda, okay.
And that's maybe about 150 feet above sea level.
150 feet.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Let's see here. We're gonna check. We're gonna check to see where we are right now.
Well, we're here. We're on a bluff. We're at the start of a plateau here.
What do you think the altitude is?
Probably about 200 to 300 feet.
I bet you're wrong.
I'm in the ballpark.
You ain't even
right
close.
here at this store.
Right here.
Right
here. Where we're sitting. Right here.
Let's see. 125 feet.
Nah. I don't think it's that high. What you been smoking?
Well, we'll see, won't we?
Yeah, what's the name of that app? I got it here.
Anyhow, that would be kind of cool to know.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless.
Altitude something?
So I was talking about real estate. That's what I was talking. I haven't done real estate talk in a long time.
Yeah, tell us something. What's happening right now?
I was talking about. Then I got the sneaky idea that I could sneak up on
me, right? Why are your pants? You got a little wetness there.
Because I spilled a lemonade.
Yeah, right.
It's the old lemonade spill trick.
Yeah. Smells like lemonade too.
All right, so. So anyway, I was talking about what I was saying. It's a good time to buy, and you need to buy it because FICO score, the banks have opened up the doors a little bit. They aren't as difficult as they were a year and 2 years ago. So it really is a good time to kind of start sinking some money. And employment is up. People are getting jobs. People are working, so people are more confident all the way around that they can make a mortgage payment for a period of time. But one of the things that are really driving folks to buy right now in the single-family houses is the fact that rents have gone up so high here in Southern California. Probably gone up high in your area too, around the country, but certainly here on the coast, the rents have just exceeded people's imagination. I mean, you're spending for 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, depending what part of town you're in, even the town that you may consider to be very dangerous and in some place you wouldn't want to raise your kids or your family, it might be a little bit off the beaten track for you, so to speak. Even those rents there are $1,500 a month, $1,700 a month for 2 or 3 bedrooms. It's unbelievable. You can't even rent now a converted garage behind somebody's house for less than $800 if you're lucky. So
yeah,
if you're lucky. And so if you start moving into neighborhoods like West LA or Los Angeles or the beach areas, Santa Monica, El Segundo, anywhere, you're looking at rents for 700 square foot apartment, studio or bachelor, or maybe a 1-bedroom, 1-bath of over $2,000 a month. It's just mind-boggling. I mean, it takes also the landlords now and the owners are so beat up because of tenant landlord laws here in the state of California that are not for owners or landlords or property managers or against them, that they make you qualify just like if you were qualifying for a loan right now. So you end up having to put together your work history, your credit history, your banking history. They want to see everything. And that 48 feet, so right here 48, so I was 100 feet off.
That's close.
I said 125 right here, so about 80 feet off.
Well, it just jumped to 52, so.
Well, it's not bad for just a guesstimate, 80 feet. I mean,
it's about 98
up there.
At the hill.
It escalates pretty high. And then the plateau at LMU down the street.
Yeah,
that's a couple hundred feet above the Playa del Rey or the swamp, the wetlands down there where Howard Hughes aircraft. But nevertheless, just a side note, if we had a tsunami, and this is an interesting thing, if the tsunami that hit the Japanese islands that knocked out the reactors at the Pacific Ocean is being polluted with all that radiation that they haven't been able to turn off or stop, and they just don't know how to do it.
Radiating.
It's just for 7 years now. It's polluting. It is. It's a scientific fact. It's polluting the Pacific Ocean. They can't stop it. But if that tsunami hit Los Angeles, we would have water all the way, and this is mind-boggling, all the way into Pasadena.
How high was that wall?
That wall of water, it wasn't so much the height. It was about 50 or 60 feet because it was big waves. A 50-foot wave is a big wave.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but it was the consistent push of the mass amount of water that continued to push the water that first came in even farther and farther and farther. And that's what would happen here in Los Angeles because the basin of L.A. is like a bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got the mountains of the Inglewood and Baldwin Hills on this kind of side right here, and like where we're at right now, Inglewood and Baldwin Hills is just right over here. Right over there. Yeah. And then you have the mountains over above Beverly Hills and West LA and that stuff. So we're like in this bowl all the way down through downtown Los Angeles, and it'll turn kind of left and go into East LA, and then turn kind of right and go down to LA River. Past LA, past Dodger Stadium, but then it seeps around and goes into more of the East LA Montebello this way, and it's a bowl. It's just a cutout bowl. So the water,
big ditch.
It really is. At sea level at Playa del Rey or Santa Monica Beach, it's like 3 feet. 5 feet, 3 to 5 feet above sea level, the sandbars. So we're basically at sea level. It doesn't ascend that fast. Right. So we would have water. There was a projection that one of the earthquake specialists, PhDs, did that if there was a tsunami that they had out there, they had here, we'd have water well into Pasadena. Water would find its way into Pasadena.
Wow.
And
That's
we're not
amazing.
talking about 2 foot of water. We're talking about like
Lots
the water
of
they
water.
had in Houston.
So the yachts that are sitting down in Marina Del Rey.
They'd be all in downtown L.A. Yeah, man.
Pulling up to the hotel in the yacht, right?
Yeah, then everybody down in Watts and East L.A. would be hijacking yachts, man.
It'd be waterfront property.
Yeah, that's right. Right. So, because the valley is 800 feet, like Burbank and the San Fernando Valley, for the most part, it's 800 feet above sea level, roughly. So Lancaster Palmdale is roughly 23 to 2,400 feet above sea level. So it really starts to escalate out there. But we would have so much damage in the LA basin. Orange County would be completely underwater. Long Beach could potentially be underwater as well.
Wow.
Yeah, it would be a phenomenal, unprecedented flooding. It would make Houston look like chump change.
I just got pictures from my daughter who lives in Richmond, Texas, which is southwest of Houston.
How far away from Houston is that?
It's like
just a suburb. Right.
That's right up against the Houston line. Looks like she got about 4 to 5 inches of water in the house.
Oh wow, this is. Yeah. Oh, see, you can see the water stain.
Yeah.
Right there on the baseboards.
Yeah.
Oh, her floor is gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can scroll through.
So that was outside the little boat. Was that outside her house? Was that outside her house?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did there's more than 4 inches of water there? How did she keep the water outside?
Well, the house is up. The yard is a little bit higher than the street.
So it kind of made a river.
That picture, yeah, that's when the water was hitting right up against the garage door. So what seeped in the garage floor is maybe 5 or 6 inches lower than because you step up into the house.
All this has to be tore out.
Yeah.
All this has to be taken down.
Yeah.
And that what happens is as water dries, it creeps up the plasterboard.
Yeah.
Or the sheetrock. It'll creep up the sheetrock because that stuff sucks up water. It's so dry. That stuff is so porous and so dry. It sucks it up. And then what happens after this is if it's a little bit of water, you can get away with painting and patching. But once the sheetrock is stained with water, you can never paint enough paint around it.
Yeah,
but what
they gotta
happens
cut it out.
is the dry rot behind the boards of the sheetrock, because it's holding water back there and it's dark.
That's right.
The dry rot happens, and the fungi happens, and the mold happens because it's cold.
That's right.
It's dark and cold.
Yeah.
And that happens, buddy, that happens overnight. I mean, it's just boom, like that. It's surprising how fast that happens. So what they end up doing is they have to end up tearing at least half the wall down, or maybe the whole wall, and replacing the frames and the sheetrock and the flooring.
Yeah, because if the framing is molded and mildewed, and
right?
all that,
No, it'll come back.
Yeah.
It'll weaken.
Yeah.
And you can't treat it.
Yeah.
The only way of treating it is cutting it out.
Yeah.
And then you got to get rid of it. You just can't toss it in your trash can. At least most cities are that way because it's a toxic hazard.
That's right.
It's a hazmat thing.
Can you imagine the amount of hazardous waste that they got to get rid of?
You know, here in California,
no, can't burn it either.
Can't burn it either. Here in California, all that stuff goes to Arizona because California is so difficult on hazmat waste that they do not allow any of the dumps that I know of, the big dumps, anywhere in the state of California to accept that material.
Wow.
So they have to ship it by semi-truck or train to these hazmat dumps in Arizona where there's no population, and way outside on the other side of Nevada, the testing range, the other side of the military base, way on the other side, the Nevada-Colorado border. They have to ship it that far. You know what the shipping cost on that is?
It's crazy.
A demo is, that's why when someone comes to say they give you a price to demo your house or to demo this thing, you look at them cross-eyed and dim-witted because you get hit with this price. It's like, they're just ripping out some boards, man. You're going to have 4 guys out here in a day and a half, but you don't understand. They have to ship all that stuff out. It's just you can't.
Cost of shipping.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
even
amazing.
asbestos in these old houses here in Los Angeles that had the floor furnaces with the asbestos pipes that go up through the wall and up to the top, and also for the stove. And asbestos was a substance that
like
insulated, but it also was like a glue substance.
Yeah.
It was
So solid.
It would make something solid. That's what they originally made tiles out of. So everything before 1978 had asbestos in the tiles. Now, asbestos is cool as long as you don't upset it. When you upset it, it's lighter than air, and it sits like smog in the air. It doesn't drop and doesn't go. It sits like smog, and it's microscopic. You can't see it unless you are in an asbestos plant. making asbestos. But those guys are in spacesuits when they're working in asbestos.
Right.
They still use asbestos in heavy industrial because it's a great insulator.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I thought it was banned altogether for any use.
Heavy industrial. They still
Really?
use it. Yeah. I mean M3 heavy stuff. But
the high school I went to had asbestos
Yeah.
ceilings and
Yeah.
had stuff wrapped around the pipes.
yeah, it did. That's
Yeah.
how they used to build them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't upset it, it's okay, and there's no problem. It's when you upset it. So in those older houses, even in Houston,
Mm-hmm.
the older houses, because we've seen a lot of new houses, 1980s and on, because that's when all the building really started taking place, when Houston started exploding in the 80s. And it's funny. It's a coincidence. And you hear me talk about this stuff, and sometimes I think you roll your eyes a lot with some of the things I say. But the reality is, Houston expanded because California chased so many businesses away. Texas expanded because in the 80s, that's when all these crazy laws at the state level for industry and for manufacturing, they were just hit with these taxes and these laws and all of these requirements that they had to do this and had to get this inspected and had to make the room this way and had to ship it this way and couldn't do this. In the 80s is when all that stuff was developed in California politics, and it just started imposing. That's when we started losing all the film industry in the 80s. It just started imposing all these taxes and these costs. So Texas was a state that kind of opened its doors. The governor at the time, and pretty much all the governors have said, please come to Texas. And that's when Houston and Austin and Dallas, Dallas was always huge, but Houston and Austin, Corpus Christi, and all these cities started really booming with manufacturing, heavy manufacturing coming in there. And most of that left California. So I say that because the buildings, you see a lot of new housing in Houston, but there is an old side of Houston too.
Oh, yeah.
And we aren't seeing too much of that. They don't show too much of that on the news. But all that's asbestos. So if you go to demo that has to go. You can't mix asbestos with lead, with mold, and dump it in the same hazmat dump. Yeah, it's got to go to its own special hazmat dump, because they line the dumps. They line the holes now with a different substance so it doesn't get into the water table.
Yeah.
So what mold?
But how long does that last?
You know something? There was a dump
20, 30 years, and then that starts to break down.
There was a dump in Sun Valley, 2 dumps in Sun Valley, because Sun Valley in the San Fernando Valley was one of the first places where they pulled out all the rock and gravel to make the cements for the freeways and the buildings in the 1930s and 1920s, 30s, and 40s.
Okay.
And they had these giant pits. Well, they filled them up full of rubbish and trash, okay?
Interesting.
But they didn't line them, so it all got into the water table. So now they had to do a bunch of stuff to fix up the water table and filters, and built these huge systems. They figured out that they had to line these pits. So the first lining of these pits that they would line with this kind of rubber plastic substance, I don't know what they called it, but this was done in like the 1970s, and some of the pits there. Now the linings of those pits are leaking. They've decomposed.
Yeah.
And it's only been 30, 50 years.
Yeah, now
roughly. Right. And so now what do? What are you going to do? You going to dig up the whole pit? No, you're not. So what happens is you'll never, ever, ever do anything.
Yeah.
And they try to.
They kick the can down the road.
That's basically what they do. So.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of things that take place. But in terms of buying real estate, it's a good time to buy real estate today, because you can get real estate. The banks have loosened up a little bit, and rents are so high. That's really pushing the marketplace. People just say, look at it, I'm going to spend $30,000 a year in rent. Why don't I just spend $25,000 a year or $22,000 a year in interest payments? Because oftentimes mortgage payment is less than the rent today. Now, that's a mind-boggling. I've never seen that before. That's the first time in my career where the rents have exceeded mortgage payments with minimal down. Now, obviously, if you put 50% down, your mortgage payment is going to be lower than the rent.
Yeah.
But when you're talking 3.5% down, 5% down, the rents have exceeded the mortgage payment of a minimal down payment on a house that most people do, most first-time buyers, this is what they come up with. They could actually save money by buying rather than renting.
Yeah, the rental market has gone crazy, especially here in California, and places like New York. It's nuts, in Florida even.
Yeah, San
Florida's
Francisco's another.
yeah.
Marin County is
Yeah.
Marin County is the most expensive place in America to live.
Is it still?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
San Francisco is just out of. You were up in Oakland for a long time. I don't
I
know
was
where
in
you
Marin County.
You were in Marin County. Well,
Yeah.
you remember how expensive it was then.
I made $250,000 on a house in 2 years.
Yeah.
I paid $900 for it and sold actually more than $250,000, $350,000 in almost to the day. 2 years later,
Yeah.
I sold it for $1,250,000.
And what year was that?
91.
So what's that house guesstimate to you is worth today? $5 million?
North of 3 at least. At least.
Yeah.
At least.
Same house.
Yeah. I don't think they've done much to it.
No. So
Yeah.
you see, I mean, it's escalating like mad.
Yeah.
And so if you're a renter out there, and you really should consider being a buyer. I know everybody tells you that, and everybody says that, and everybody says that, but you really should consider it, because if you don't, and you have a job, and you're making, between you and your wife or husband or whatever significant other, you're making $50,000 a year, and that's $25,000 a year each. Pretty much you can work at Walmart and make $25,000 a year. So if you're making $50,000 to $75,000 a year, you should be buying something.
Well, and that depends on your debt ratio too, right?
Well, your debt ratio has to be, FHA, you can push it all the way up to 52%. So you get a 52% debt. But a conventional loan that's not government insured, it's about 42%. So even that's good. I mean, but there's a lot of folks out there that have low debt ratios, but they just figured they couldn't rent because they couldn't afford it.
If you got a combined or one person income at, say, $75,000, and you have no virtual debt, I mean, how much house can you buy? I mean,
how much house
in California?
$400,000.
$400,000.
Yeah.
And what do you get for $400,000?
Depends what location. If your job, let's say your job is in the middle of Los Angeles Basin, so if you're willing to have a 60-mile radius around that to find a house to live in. That's not that far in Southern California, 60 miles around your job.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, 60 miles isn't that far, but somewhere within that 60-mile circular radius, I'll find you a house. Now, if you're a young person and you don't have kids, a townhouse.
What are you going to get?
You're going to get
square footage?
You're going to get 1,500 square feet.
Two bedrooms.
Three bedrooms. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms.
It'll be a tiny bedrooms.
Oh, yeah, they're not going to be 20 by 20. Yeah, they're going to be 12 by 12. Or 10 by 12.
Right.
The master bedroom will be the biggest bedroom. It might
Right.
be 12 by 13, but the other bedrooms would be smaller. But it's still better.
Garage?
You have a 2-car garage, detached or attached. I mean,
And
Pacoima,
6,000 square foot lot.
yeah, 5 to 7. Depending. Look, in Arleta, California, I just closed an escrow where I was flashing some cash yesterday, just goofing around with Roundup Wound Up. I just closed an escrow, and that house is 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The same house we just kind of talked about, built in 58, okay? But it's totally been repainted, new carpet, nice new windows, new roof. It's clean, right? $464.
1,500. So that comes
on an 8,000 square foot lot. But that's what you're going to get in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You don't get that. If you're in Oklahoma, or if you're in Tennessee, or if you're somewhere else, you're going to double the square footage
At
and
least.
probably double the lot size.
Yeah. At
okay.
least.
And your mortgage payment will be the same. Interest stays the same around the country. It doesn't change.
Right. Oh, boy, we're out.
Yeah, I know. I have no idea what time it is. I have no idea.
6:03.
Well, we're gone.
3 minutes after 6. 6:03, ladies.
That's
and
right.
gentlemen.
We're out of here. So, do we have enough time to play a kick-out song?
I guess we could pull that off.
All right.
All right, here we
That's
go.
what happens when we get rambling on. All right. Hey, we got a good show lined up for you tomorrow. Road tripping. Dan the Man and I are going to be out there in the town doing our thing. We are rebroadcasting the best of the Jesse T Show right here on thepowervoices.com. It's been a great week. And next week, hey, we're going to load them up, round up, wound up again. And we've got a couple of great tentative guests coming in next week. So I'm trying to lock that down for us. A couple of actors and directors. And I'm trying to get another politician in here who's running for lieutenant governor of the state of California on the Democratic side this time. So we're working on that right now. Hey, it's the Jesse T Show, Monday through Friday, right here from 5 to 6. And now I'm going to jump back out in the mix of Los Angeles traffic without my GPS and get lost again. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Just because I'm going to do that. All right, you have a good one. The Brown Beauty is off duty. See ya.